Hey, this is Kevin Pollak, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com. But I guess you knew that, didn't you? Unless, of course, you lost your head.
Welcome to the Station of Decapitation Without Your Head. I'm Nasty Neil.
And this is Annabelle Lecter.
Yes, and joining us, multiple-time guests, friends of the show, we have author, actor, photographer, musician, mime, and the world's biggest Spiggy Topes fan, Tim Dry.
Sorry. Yes, hi, I'm Tim Dry. Lovely to be here again. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And also actor, Cenobite, author, musician, all-around talented, lovely Barbie Wilde.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, that was a
Yes, that's me.
Yes.
No.
Mm-hmm. That's the end of the show. No.
Yeah.
From what I understand,
Thanks for having us.
From what I understand, this is the first time you guys have done an interview at the same time since the 80s.
That's what I said
Is that
yesterday.
true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You interviewed me on some weird TV program you were doing, and I'd formed a kind of theatrical venture called the Toilet Zone, which never went anywhere, of course, not with a name like that.
Did it get flushed down the toilet? No, that is
Yes.
so odd. I have no memory of that. That's really, but you've got, Tim is amazing. He's got all these diaries.
But I also had a little clip of you interviewing me.
Was that
wearing a
for
hat.
music? Was that for Music Box or the morning show or Supersonic or what was it?
No, it wasn't Supersonic. Some dingy little basement room somewhere, sitting on a sofa with you. I had a hat on, and he said, "Lift your hat up, show him your beautiful face." Whoa, I just hit the wrong button. What's that? Sorry, this is... Why have I gone into Thursday the 4th of September? How do I get out of that?
So that wasn't part of the
there
interview.
we go.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, so I don't think Shock ever did actual interviews outside of the music press or the press.
We did, we had a double page spread in the Sun and stuff like that, so they must have talked to us.
But not talking sort of interviews like this.
I have no memory of that, but then again...
You have no memory of anything.
No, it's terrible. No, it's funny because on Throwback Thursday, I will put up a photograph that somebody sent me, the talented David Rose, who's also a writer and director now. He directed as a
Son of Nosferatu.
Son of Nosferatu, starring Tim Dry. And he sent me this photograph, and I have no memory of this session because I'm wearing, this lacy thing, and my hair is green, and of course I remember it being greeny blue and stuff, but the makeup looked so odd, and I thought, wow, but I did have a whirlwind of a life back in the 80s, so that's probably why I can't.
I had mine in the 1880s.
Yes.
I was friends with Jack the Ripper. We used to hang out together.
Anyway, all these years have passed now.
Mm-hmm. It's a
haven't they?
historic moment right now. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get into the future.
Yeah, well...
Or unless you want to talk about stuff. No, sorry, I'm just...
No, we can get back to that too, but we do want to talk about your current project, which you guys are both involved in, Bad Medicine.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey,
this is...
Sorry.
Hello. Now, this is a very exciting project. Funnily enough, after a gap of about 16 years where I hadn't done any acting of any note, I was approached this year with about 3 different scripts. One where I'd have to play an 80-year-old matron of a serial killer family, which sounds worse than it's, is. But
it's like a lot of fun.
Well, no. I don't want to do prosthetic makeup that much, although I am going to do some in Bad Medicine. But the scripts didn't grab me. The other one, the project fell through. But this script by Dave Jeffrey was just had me riveted from the first page. And I just thought, this is such a great script. It's so innovative and audacious that, And then I did a little film to help them with their a previous funding campaign. And, my partner said, listen, you should go for it. You can play this part. Because I was thinking, well, that's the story of my involvement is that I said yes with great alacrity because I thought this is a great part. And it's so lovely in many ways to be in a new horror film. I mean, I love being known for being the female Cenobite in Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, but it'd be nice to be in another film subsequent to that. So
I like the premise of it, where it's like different mental patients, I guess, telling their story, and then each of the short stories in the anthology is their own story. It's really like Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt kind of.
There's another film called Asylum as well, which is a similar anthology type film, and it's great. And I'm sort of playing the character, if you like, of which was the one. Oh gosh, I just watched it recently with Peter Cushing playing a guy doing the tarot card reading, Dr. Terror's Train of Horrors or something like that, and
Terror's House of Horrors.
Yes. Well, he's on the train, though. And
always on a train.
He's reading the tarot cards of all these different people, and then you see their stories.
Yeah. So you're kind of the character that brings them all together.
Yeah, so I'm the wraparound character. I'm playing Dr. Slade, who is the psychotherapist who's interviewing all these benighted creatures.
Yeah.
So you're chatting with them as a therapist, and you're talking with them about their past?
Why they ended up there. Yeah. Because all of them they've been sort of shocked into muteness, pretty much. They're in a state of almost catatonia. And I've been hired because my unconventional methods can get through to people like that. Wow. So, yeah. So it should be it's a really wonderful part. So I'm just, excited and nervous in both measures, but it should be interesting.
How did you get involved, Tim?
I paid the director a huge amount of money.
Oh, okay. It's the same way you got on the show.
Yeah, I do that with everyone. That's the only work I ever get. I think what happened, he knew I was close with Barbie, and he offered me...
I'm sorry. I actually mentioned you, I think, to him in one of our Skype chats, and I said, "Did you know that Tim Dry played the monster in Xtro?" And I told him to watch Son of Nosferatu, which is now on YouTube.
Okay, right.
And I think I mentioned mention you to him. Sorry.
Oh, then I got to pay you now then.
It's all getting totted up.
Yes. No, he said, again, he sent me the script, which I just thought was extraordinary, really. I'm so sick of reboots and remakes and, let's redo Planet of the Apes, let's do RoboCop, let's do this. It's like, come on. And so, okay, it's influenced by 70s Amicus and Hammer horror movies, but boy, there's some dark stuff in it. And the part he gave me was... It's called The Distorted Figure, which is quite appropriate, I guess. But it's an alien that torments this guy in an underground car park. The alien has these sort of hoodies as his sort of henchmen. But the thing about the character of the alien is that he's actually like a father figure, riddled with guilt. And because the aliens gave the human race sentience and watched us sort of abusing it, and they feel bad because they should have intervened. But he's come back to try and warn people that something really bad is coming from out there.
Don't give away too much.
No.
That's so much potential. That's a very exciting idea, and it seems like there's all these, History Channel shows over here about aliens, but that idea of having our intelligence brought into us by aliens, I don't know if there's been a lot done with that, and there is so much potential.
Actually,
it's say 2001, but no, it's
actually, funnily enough, there is a Star Trek episode that I mentioned to Dave, which he had never seen, where the Star Trek Enterprise are trying to beat the Klingons to this planet because this treasure is supposedly buried there, this enormous treasure, or a weapon, or they think it's some big thing, and of course the Klingons think it's a big weapon, and they get there, and this little alien pops up and go, "We just want to let you know that you are our children, and we've been scattering our seed throughout the universe, and he just wanted to say hi. And the Klingon, of course, is outraged. He goes, "Is that it? Where's our big weapon?" But of course, Jean-Luc Picard is cool as, no, that's so good.
Yes. Well, hey.
But it is a kind of an very unusual, uncommon kind of take on it. I think that with every one of the stories, that it's just a very interesting take on whatever thing they've decided to do. I mean, there's a serial. I don't want to get into too much detail because the twists at the end are so delightful. But there's a serial killer story, and as you guys know, I'm very interested in serial killers, and the twist on that one is just fantastic. And each little bit.
I'm getting the impression that it's not just really fantastic horror movies, but I'm getting the sense that there's a lot of sensitivity to these stories as well.
Well, Dave calls it a psychological horror story.
Yes.
Which for me is certainly a new take on, man in masks slashing up stupid teens on holiday by a lake somewhere, Yeah. I think we've all done that. What was the other portmanteau movie that we both watched recently, Barbie, where, again, funny enough, Peter Cushing owns an antique shop.
Oh, yes.
And people come in and say, I'd like to buy that thing, and somebody steals something, and Peter Cushing smoking a pipe, and his cheekbones you could cut, cheese with them. But it's the same sort of thing. It's like he's the central device that links all these stories together. And they used to do that a lot, in the 70s, I think, 60s and 70s. And it hasn't been done, I don't think, since then. And that's what's intriguing, because finally people can say, wow, something different.
Mm-hmm. I really like
it had David Warner in it too, didn't it? He bought a mirror.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, yes. Good old David Warner, the only actor who doesn't
From Beyond
makeup.
the Grave.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've just looked it up.
Yes.
And no, that was superb. It was really, really quite unusual. Sorry, Timmy. Just earlier you said, it's not like some guy in a hockey mask slashing a group of teens by a lake. And then the next sentence you said, we've all done that. And
who hasn't?
I absolutely, refute the charge that I've slashed a group of teenagers with a chainsaw.
Yes, no, sorry.
The
thing about this alien is that he communicates psychically with this guy, which is a relief, because I did say to David, my days of getting into a skin-tight rubber suit are long gone, mate.
Yeah.
I'm 62 years old. I can't do it anymore. And he said, don't worry, we have CGI and all this stuff. But it's all a voiceover for me, I hope. That's what it says in the script. He's probably said, no, Tim, you've actually got to learn it all. Oh, bugger. But it's just this idea of guilty aliens. It's like, whoa, I haven't seen that one before.
I really love the little trailer you put together on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, well, we both... it's something that we discovered when we were doing... Well, we're still doing these horror anthologies with Dean M. Drinkle, is that Barbie and I have this sort of history of blatant showmanship, I suppose, and it makes us very good at promoting ourselves, Mm-hmm.
Well, we try.
Yeah, well, I think we do it really well, but
absolutely, I think we do too. But it's the usual problem. I think if you're trying to there's a wonderful book. I may have mentioned this on the last podcast I did. I can't remember, by George Takei, who played Mr. Sulu on Star Trek, and he's going, "Oh my, I'm on the internet," and he's sort of how can a 70-year-old man have 2 million followers on Twitter and stuff, and because he found the phenomena quite interesting, and he said that if you're promoting a project, you must keep on also putting up entertaining stuff as well, because people get tired of too much promotion. And I find that if I put up a photograph of myself of the 80s, I get all these likes, and I put up something about the movie, and it's not so much. And it's that's sort of the curse of Facebook, if you like. But that's why it's you have to balance it out. But I think certainly because Tim and I have been doing this for our own projects, a lot in the last sort of year and couple years with our books and stuff like that we've got a nice little network of people that we can have help us, like Chris Alexander, who Timmy and I both know. He interviewed Tim for this thing they did on Xtro for Fangoria. And I got a little feature about my writing in Fangoria as well. And he put up something about the movie on Fangoria online, which is fantastic.
Well, I think people like Chris are thinking, oh, thank God, something different.
Yes.
And that excites people. So when you say, well, we've got Barbie, who was, the Cenobite in Hellraiser, we've got Tim, who was in Star Wars and Xtro, plus, they've both made music. They were in a band in the 80s, this golden era of stuff. It becomes a very exciting package for people. So I think, certainly in the writing genre, which we're both in, we do get quite a lot of attention, because of our pasts, I think.
I just know, I don't talk about too much, but I know what Barbie was just saying is a lot of times if we have people on the show and they just want to plug something and talk about nothing else and they just went on 5 minutes, it's really no one wants to hear that. But if you come on and then have fun and talk about other things, you can also talk about your projects, and it's much. I always tell people people are going to be more interested in something like that.
Yeah, sure. I just want to point out that there's an Indiegogo campaign. Yeah. This is a shameless plug, and then we can move on. Indiegogo campaign for Bad Medicine, the film, and it's on, funnily enough, Indiegogo, and you can see what the perks are for getting involved with the funding of the film.
Yeah.
And that will be running until the 30th of October, so please check it out, Bad Medicine, the movie, on Indiegogo.
Yeah,
there's a link right on the website. So
both of our trailers are up there as well under the heading Gallery. So, I think maybe a couple of the other actors are putting something together, but we're so shameless. We did ours a couple of months ago,
Just along those lines, though, when people who like you, fans, and they are actually supporting and funding this, what kind of feeling is that like?
I don't know. I don't think a lot of our fans would be funding it. I think the funding will come from people who see it more of possibly a business venture. I've noticed from my own experience that, yes, I've got a lot of friends on Facebook, but it doesn't mean that they're all going to buy the album or buy the book. They say, hey, great, Tim, like that. Oh, yeah. They're not going to dig deep.
Well, I disagree. I think that because of the nature of Indiegogo and that you can, pledge as little as £1, then I think that if people are interested in seeing us on screen again, which is a possibility, of course, a lot of people are just interested in the mythos around Star Wars, or Clive Barker's work, Hellraiser and stuff, of course. But, a lot of people are just interested in horror. And I think more specifically, perhaps my friends, because maybe your fans and friends are more into the whole 80s thing, Tim. And Xtro wasn't that big a film, although a lot of people do know about it. But
it's
I think
bigger now than it was.
Yes, exactly. But Star Wars, of course, is a juggernaut. And so, but I think certainly there a lot of my friends and fans who are following me on Facebook are hopefully will be interested in this. And it's just getting the word out. And there are all these algorithms that you have to be aware of when you post on things on Facebook. And they're actually cutting things down as well, that make it much more easy. They say, oh, this post of yours is getting much more interest, Barbie. Why don't you pay to get it out there more? So this is the problem with social media. Like, not so sure about Twitter, but certainly with Facebook, they're cutting down the algorithms about how many people see your posts.
Yeah, it's quite frightening. I did actually pay whatever it was, minimum £3 to promote this album. I think 4 more people saw it. It's not very good.
It's £27 now.
Oh, you're kidding.
Well, that's what they said. Do you want to promote this post? Because I did the ice bucket challenge thing, using a cocktail shaker instead of an ice bucket. But it said you've got your this has reached 500 people. Do you want to reach 4,000? Just pay £27.
Yeah, right. And they're all the same guys buying all the clicks in Indonesia or something. I think the thing about most of my friends on Facebook are probably English or European. And what we need to do with the Indiegogo thing is to reach out to the States and to the rest of the world, where people can afford to dig deep. Because I think this movie will transcend nationality. I don't think it's going to be an intrinsically English movie. I don't know. I can't say. It might be. But then again, things like Dog Soldiers, which was,
wonderful.
You like that?
I like it very much. At the time, I had no expectations at all, and when I saw it, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, me too. And also, there's 28 Days Later, of course. These are low-budget Brit movies that have, and Shaun of the Dead, funny enough, have done well outside of England. So I'm really hoping that we can get American investors involved. Who won't?
I think you can really push that idea of anthology, because Creepshow is giant, and Tales from the Crypt is giant, and you bring up all the 70s ones, and there's people that watch those and love them, but it seems like a lot of the younger crowd that's more likely to be engaged in funding through an Indiegogo independent fundraiser type of thing are going to be the people that have watched, like I had just mentioned, the Creepshow or Tales from the Crypt. And people want that. Neil and I love them, and you can really get a buzz off of that idea.
But it is Stephen King, of course.
You could take advantage of that and really push that thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great too, because Dave Jeffrey, he's written some books that have gotten to the top of the horror charts in Amazon and stuff. He's a very well respected horror writer. So, I mean, that's why the script is of such good quality.
Yeah, and also their first film, Ascension, won independent awards, didn't it?
Yeah. So James Hart, who is the director.
Yeah.
He won the Best Director spot at the Bram Stoker Awards, which are, a very prestigious festival in Whitby, in York. Is it Yorkshire? Whitby. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, of course, is where
Bram Stoker.
Dracula. Well, Dracula is set.
Set Dracula. Yeah.
I saw that that Dave Jeffrey actually said that one of the short stories in one of those books that you guys were all working together on is part
of the
basis of the script. Yeah, one of the stories.
One of the strands.
Where there's a will.
I really like this black and white image they came out with yesterday.
I love that today. Yeah, I saw that today.
Very kind of Twilight Zone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I haven't seen that. What's that?
Oh, it's great. It's a black and white sort of logo for Bad Medicine with a tagline. Yeah, and you look at it. It's on Dave's page, I think. Neil's seen it.
Yeah, it's on the Bad Medicine page itself. I think they have it now as the header photo. But yeah, I loved it. It's I always like the kind of retro throwback stuff, and it's very like kind of 50s sci-fi. It's very cool. Like it's coming at the screen. It's got the smoke on the sides.
It looks like the logo for The Thing or something.
Yeah, the original Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, original Thing.
I can't. I'm trying to find it.
If you just look for the Bad Medicine movie page.
Okay.
Which is facebook.com/Bad Medicine Movie. For everyone.
Oh, that's fabulous! Yeah, I'm looking at it now. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that sort of thing, it doesn't have sort of dripping blood red Gothic letters and stuff, Mm-hmm. It's anyway. So we're both very excited about it, and it'll be the first time that Barbie and I have actually worked in the same project since since the days of Shock, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't really count Death Wish 3. Oh no, we did a kiddies TV show, didn't we? where we're robotic cleaners.
Seeing and doing, and we both had to wear delicious little pink outfits.
Oh, that's on YouTube, folks.
She doesn't need a photo for that one.
Oh,
it's all up there, darling. I mean, I posted a picture of it, and then somebody said, "Oh yeah, I remember that." So I thought, "Oh, sod it, I'll post a damn clip up there." It's so silly. It's all right. It's
Wouldn't it be great if we could get robots to do our cleaning? And so,
yes.
but I don't remember doing any cleaning. I was just tarting around in my pink Clyde.
I'm doing the cleaning. I'm sort of brooming up stuff in this space shuttle, and I put my back
I pressed your button. That's right.
I
pressed your button to. Oh yeah, or something. I've had to fix you or something.
Yes, I froze, and you sort of glide out looking all glittery, and I think you think you've got a huge spanner or something, and you sort of and then thank you, and off we go.
People are actually curious about that. Can they find anything somewhere?
Well, you said it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, isn't it? It's I don't know which channel it's on.
Mm-hmm. What's the name of it?
No, Tick and Barbie do the cleaning. I think that might be a good way to find it.
All right. Tick and Barbie do the cleaning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, TIK.
Is it not on my thing? Did I not put it up as well?
I don't know. I've got a feeling you did, because I wouldn't have called it that.
Well, that's what you were known as at the time.
Yes, no, I would have called it Tick and someone else.
I'm seeing Barbie and Tick, TIK in space.
Oh, I see. We've changed it round now.
Yeah.
Barbie, it is your page.
Yeah.
Barbie and some bloke. Some geezer in pink.
Barbie Wilde and Tick do the cleaning up on a space station on a kids' TV show.
There you go. You couldn't make it up, could you? Here's the stupid thing. I actually wrote the music for that, and I never registered it with the PRS. So I never made a single penny out of it.
No, well, that's too bad.
Mm-hmm. It was the track. It was a B-side of a Tick and Tock single, and for some reason, it's got a good beat to it, so we used that. And, of course, it had to be re-recorded by the BBC orchestra or something.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting, because when I recorded the music, the sequences were drifting out of time with the drum machine. So it starts off in 4/4 and ends up in 7/8 or something. And I just had this wonderful image of all these sort of balding session musicians going, "What the hell is this? How are we supposed to play that?" So they did, because they're professionals, aren't they?
I have some new pictures now to put in upcoming banners.
Yeah.
Barbie in pink. Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Now, besides the anthology and the movie, you guys had worked on anthologies in novels.
Yeah. Well, we're just nearing the end of our contributions for the third in this series, which I can never remember the name of.
Grimorium Verum.
No, that's this one, yeah. But the title for all three of them is the Bestiarum Vocabularum, which is the one we did earlier. Then there's the very first one, which was, I wasn't in that.
Demological Biblica.
Right. So these are all put together by Dean M. Drinkle, and he very kindly gave me the letter A for this one. And he sort of said, "No pressure." And it's an anthology of witchcraft.
Oh.
Yeah, but I didn't go, I went, oh. Because when you get the letter N for a phobia, you just Google phobias beginning with N. It's like, oh, right, got it, that one. Mm-hmm. This one, I don't know. I don't know that much about witchcraft, so it was a challenge. Mm-hmm. But I found something very nasty. It's probably the nastiest thing I've ever written, actually. And
wow.
Is there any pressure having A, because that'll be the first one that's read? Yeah.
It's horrible. I was in A. It's not horrible, actually.
Yeah,
it's just you realize that this is the first story that most people are going to read. Mm-hmm. I was A in Demologica Biblica, and finding a demon starting with A was interesting. But I found an Alpdruck, one of the most terrifying paintings. I remember being very disturbed by it when I first saw it as, a young person. Is called Cauchemar by Fusilli, and it's this woman sort of half out of bed, and her eyes are sort of white. And there's this creature sitting on her chest, and then there's this. Oh no, her eyes aren't white. There's this horse, a nightmare, coming out of the background, and its eyes are white. But the little creature sitting on her chest is called an Albdruck, and it basically is what the Germans called what they would experience as sleep paralysis. That awful feeling when you're in a dream and you can't move, and you're either being chased by pirates or you're lying in your bed and you can't move and stuff like that. And they just attributed it to this little demon. So that's why I wrote that story. But boy, it was hard to find a demon starting with A. But you do feel very worried that, oh goodness, this is going to be, the first story that people write.
Yeah,
read.
Because people might think, oh, actually, that wasn't very good, and then not bother with the rest of it. I mean, I don't know. I've introduced lots of things into this one. I have introduced sleep paralysis and a feral cat and stuff. And what I do like about writing is doing research and thinking, Christ, what can I write about A for witchcraft? Altar? Possibly. And I downloaded a very good book. This other authoress, Lily Childs, who's also a contributor, said, oh, you should download this Kindle, £4, and it's like a complete Bible of witchcraft. Everything to do with, spells, famous witches, what they wear, what sort of music they're into. No, that's sorry.
Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Iron Maiden. Then. And I found the name of this legendary witch, and I thought, right, that's it then. Off we go. So anyway, not giving too much away, but that's going to come out in December. And then both Barbie and I have got stories in Phobophobias, which is the follow-up to the first anthology of phobias. This is coming out in October, I think.
Is it? Oh, good. What was your phobia, Tim?
My phobia, honey, was nostophobia.
And what's that the fear of?
That's the fear of returning home.
Ah.
And what was yours?
Mine was botophobia. Funnily enough, that is not the fear of bottoms, as we say over here in the UK. But it's a fear of basements. And I've always been scared to bits of basements. We had the scariest, spideriest basement.
So you don't want to see pictures of my basement then?
No. No, it's just our basement it was unfinished. And there was, I've actually put this in the story. There was a room in it because my parents bought the house, but we rented for a few years. And there was a room in it that was locked, and we weren't allowed to go in it because the owners had some stuff in there. Right? And I thought, what's in the room? And this is actually in the story. They finally opened it up and came and took the stuff out, obviously, because when we bought the house, and my family bought the house, and all that was left behind was this little Victorian wicker baby carriage, like a child's, for a doll. And I just went, oh, that's so creepy. So no, and it's strange. And when I sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I still often have dreams about going back to that house in Spokane, Washington, and where I grew up. And it's a strange thing. I have so many dreams about that place and that basement. And, I even had a dream about watching an opera on TV, and, and there's strange things, but I guess it was my formative years. So
I think the great thing about writing is that you can incorporate all this stuff. Nothing to do with bottoms. Nostophobia is the fear of returning home, which is unusual because most people have a fear of going out. you know. And I always remember reading interviews with people like Jagger and Bowie saying, well, we come from suburbia and we're never going back. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be awful if you were one of the world's biggest rock stars and you did something very, very bad and you did end up there? Well, I'm not going to tell you what happens because it's really horrible. But it's just, I have the same thing. I come from suburbia and I never want to go back there. And I met a friend from the same town on the train once, and he said, you'll be back. They all come back. I thought, no, this is like It or something, you know. They all float down here. And I just vowed I'm never going to live in my hometown ever again. You know, didn't have a basement, though. Shame.
Are you part of the witchcraft one too, Barbie?
Yes, I am.
She said with a slight edge of hysteria. How's it going, Barbie?
Oh dear. Well, it's not. I'm having a bit of a block, and so I do what I always do, and that's research and stuff, and seeing if I can get a breakthrough.
Do you want to tell us your letter, or you want to?
Sorry.
Are you going to let us know what letter you have, or is it a secret?
Oh yeah. I've got W.
Okay.
And now, normally one would say, oh, well, why don't you just do W is for witch, which, of course, I could do. But I think that...
A bit predictable.
I think you want to be a little more challenged than W for witch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm sort of exploring other ideas and stuff.
You do witches.
Witches, yeah. I actually do have a title, but since the story is still in its formative state and might change completely. God, I hope Dean isn't listening to this.
He will be.
Oh dear. But anyway, Dean, I'm sorry, but I will get this story together. No, it's. I've already asked for an extension. I'm going through a weird time. It's strange because I'm Aquarius, right? And why did I have to put the hippie voice on?
I don't know. It's really
but I feel that my opposite time, which is like August, is always a low time for me. And you either get low around your birthday or around your opposite sign, which actually, is it the opposite sign? Or maybe I'm full of crap, aren't I? But no, August brings me down, man. I can't help it. But now we're in September, so there's no excuse, is there?
That didn't work, did it?
No. But it's been a very busy year for me because it's been wonderful. I mean, meeting up with you guys, Annabelle and Neil in Atlantic City was just such a laugh. And but doing a lot of conventions, and I've got another one in Dayton, EpicCon. Which I'm so excited about because this is in mid-October. Do you see how I changed the subject from the story?
Yeah, funny that.
Yes, that I will be going up and being a complete fangirl with Laura Parker and Jerry Lacey, and I don't know if you guys remember them from a sort of horror soap opera called Dark Shadows.
I love Dark Shadows.
I ran home every day from school, and my brother went to university, and I wrote him a weekly report of what happened. And it was brilliant. I put so much into those reports and made them really funny and stuff. And you know what the bastard did? He just tossed them out. I said, I hope you get my letters about Dark Shadows. Oh no, couldn't be bothered. Of course, obviously not in an English language, but English accent. But no, it's just very, very exciting that I'm going to be seeing those guys. But there's lots of other people as well. But yeah, it's been a very busy year, and unfortunately, it is tiring, and that saps my creative energy as well.
Boy,
oh boy, was that greeted with utter disbelief. Jeez, come on, guys, give me something back here.
Why don't you tell them about your wonderful contribution to the Bestiarum Vocabulum, Barbie?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys have read that anthology yet.
If you haven't, just pretend you did.
Well, I think I did mention that is I love that story, but I was given I think Tim is in it too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, I am, actually.
Yes. But yes, this is again another part. It's again out on Western Legends Press, edited by Dean Drinkle, and this is the second book of the trilogy.
M. Drinkle.
Sorry.
Slippy.
And I was given the letter Z or Z, and I just thought, well, that's awful. How are you going to get it? And I looked up monsters, and it was just Chinese dragons and, of course, zombies. Actually, I think we may have talked about this in one of my previous interviews with you guys. I can't remember. But I actually find zombies really boring. And I know it's controversial because everybody loves zombies at the moment. I haven't watched The Walking Dead.
Everyone can listen to the Zombie Month last month here on Without Your Head.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, by the way, everyone can listen to our last month. We had Zombie Month on the show.
Sorry.
I saw that.
I'm not really. I'm very opposed to a lot of this big fad of zombies. I don't mind zombies. I like Night of the Living Dead. Wonderful. But yeah, it's a little old.
But you see, this is again, it's a glut of zombies. And then, but my partner said, listen, it's going to be with your unique voice. And my voice is kind of weird and unique, I suppose. So I thought about, then he also, bless him, said, what about Zulu zombies? Just thinking, onomatopoeically. And I went, whoa, that's really odd. And then I started thinking about it, and it was actually kind of wonderful. And now I'm writing the screenplay based on the short story.
Wow.
And it's From Rorke's Drift to Milton Keynes. It's actually the first story that I've ever written based in the UK.
I think you better explain exactly what Milton Keynes is. Millions.
That's actually our webmaster. That's where our webmaster, Andy Tyler, is from, Milton Keynes.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's
so it's my new publisher.
It's actually sort of a funny place because it's a new town. It was sort of, and everything is very it's not new now, but they sort of it's not an old city like York or something. And so it was all done, and it's got strange sort of statues of cows everywhere, and it's all very sort of futuristic-y kind of place. And it's the people, Milton Keynes. It's kind of a bit of a, not a joke, but it is kind of, I don't know. It's a strange place. I've been there a few times, but these poor girls just happen to be getting on a train at 2 a.m, and they get, and then they are confronted with Zulu zombies, and then it switches to why Zulu zombies? And
it could have been zebra zombies. That'd be really weird.
Oh gosh, that would have been strange. But then it goes back to Rorke's Drift, and I just finished reading a very, very authoritative book about the whole Battle of Rorke's Drift. And I've taped Zulu Dawn with Burt Lancaster to watch. Of course, the film, I remember seeing the film, and it's Michael Caine's big break, and Stanley Baker is sex on legs, and it's just, But anyway, I think that was the end of the story, and that, in essence, some of these warriors get really pissed off that they get killed, and so, they start haunting somebody who survived Rorke's Drift. And that's how it comes to pass, from Rorke's Drift to Milton Keynes, and then London. Yeah. So it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse in London, and it's weird.
But you have a twist on it. You have something unique and original. It's not just nuclear waste.
And you know what? And if Michael Caine is listening to this podcast, I'm writing a part for you, darling. Because I just think it would be so cool to have him in this film. Wouldn't it be hilarious? Him playing his ancestor's descendant.
He could say, "You're only supposed to pull their bloody heads off."
Now, you said you're writing the screen script. Is that for a feature-length movie, or is it going to be part of an anthology?
Well, I was just thinking, actually. I would love it to be a feature-length film. At the moment, it's not quite long enough, but I don't really have any apocalyptic set pieces happening yet, which is, going to be the fun bit. But I was thinking about, considering I've built up quite a nice little group of horror short stories, it probably would be a bit cool to have an anthology film and write a screenplay around them. But we just have to see. But I think that someone is interested in turning one of my short stories into a feature-length film. But that's in the future, and hopefully that will happen. And I don't want to talk about it just, in the way that actors and writers are quite superstitious beings. I try not to be, but, that would just be marvelous if that happens. But no, it is absolutely an interesting idea. But I think that with this one, I would just love Hammer Films to do it. I would love for it to have that kind of Hammer Horror presents Zulu Zombies.
Yeah.
With Michael Caine.
Yeah, I agree. Now, it seemed like both of you guys have a little problem with your witch story coming up with, witch story. Do you guys believe in witchcraft at all?
I had a sort of vague experience with it back in the 70s. Yeah, I believe anything's possible, really. I think if you want something enough, you'll make anything happen, But it's interesting reading this sort of A to Z of witchcraft stuff, how there's all different degrees of it. Obviously, there's white witchcraft, black witchcraft. I mean, maybe it's just another word for somebody with a great deal of confidence, I don't know whether I believe in the supernatural anymore. So, it's jury's out on that one, I'm afraid. I enjoy reading about these things, but whether I actually believe, I believe there's powerful people out there, but whether that's a result of genetics or, some magical intervention, I don't really know.
Well, it's interesting because I've been reading some books by Colin Wilson as research. Now, he's not only a master of true crime, because I'm researching that as well, but also of the occult. And he's written occult and mysteries and another thing as well. And so that's, it's just interesting reading his take on these things. And I think that one of the things that will be is, we're sort of harnessing the power of genetics, and there was the atom, and then it was the genetics, and I think that the last one is the power of the human mind. And I think that there are some people who actually can, sort of like what was happening with certain, voodoo and things like that. People scare themselves into the possibility because they fear the power of this other person. And it's almost like a mental sort of thing. There are some people who, you meet them, they're terribly charismatic, or there's some kind of thing about them that is the power.
David Koresh.
Yeah. And, it is
Charlie Manson.
Well, exactly. And they make people do certain things. And so, the idea of the ritual and the spell and these certain words that can do things that, it is fascinating. I'm just saying that I think that the jury is out. I mean, I would say that there's more to in heaven and hell than beyond your whatever it is, Horatio.
That is dreamt of in your philosophy.
Thank you. And so it's, we can't, I would say never.
I mean, I think we both have read virtually every Colin Wilson book going, and he used to write a lot of fiction using his sort of, maybe not his beliefs, but his theories about, things outside of our domain, if you like. But I've never known whether Colin Wilson himself actually believed or not. You don't have to believe in order to collate information.
Well, I think he actually did believe in the power of the human mind. And you know what? Just talking to you guys, that's what I love about this. Just talking to you. I mean, I've been really worrying about this story. And I've just had a little bit of something in my head just went a bit click.
Yeah.
And the story is called The Witches of Whitechapel.
Aha.
So it's a mixture. Yeah, it's a mixture of witchcraft and one of the most notorious murderers in the history of crime.
Oh, you brought him in, have you?
Yeah, so we just have to,
Bastard. You know, I was actually thinking of that. When I first got my letter, I was thinking Aleister Crowley. And, you know, because he was allegedly the most wickedest man in the world and all that stuff. Intrinsically English, you know, Jimmy Page, David Bowie, followers, all can I weave that in without getting sued? And then I thought, nah, what can you add to an already existing person? Now, if you're writing about the Ripper or this witch in my case, I can go wherever I want with it, you know. But you know, there's a lot of different theories about the Ripper that possibly. This is what I was working on with the two Erics, by the way, guys. You know that the Lenskirch thing. I brought the Ripper into that, and I thought, well, maybe he had become possessed by this Advent calendar thing that had a life of its own that went way back, you know. Anyway, but that's interesting. I didn't know you. Did you just come out with that?
That was that was this morning, I think.
Oh, right.
The title popped. I just said, oh, well, maybe I should just write about the witches of Whitechapel. And then I stopped and went, hey, that's a good title.
Well, you can't use Whitechapel without mentioning Jack.
Exactly. But I think that you know, I do not hold me to this. But I just felt something just go, oh yeah. But you know, so I'm just reading the criminal profile. It's a wonderful book called "The Cases That Haunt Us: From Jack the Ripper to John Benet Ramsey" by John E. Douglas. He's actually one of the top profilers at the FBI, along with Robert Ressler. And I think Douglas was the one who was the consultant on Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal and stuff like that. And he is doing a profile of Jack the Ripper, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's because he said, you know, they didn't have these techniques. I mean, it just took everybody by surprise, the kind of, you know, mutilation and stuff that happened. It was just, you know, of course, things probably, of course, murders like that probably happened before, but because it was a series of killings.
But also you had the growth of the printed newspaper.
Oh, well, exactly. It was just sort of like a perfect storm, if you like, of the newspaper things and the fact that it was in this one area. Sorry?
He was haunting the police. So it's not just he was killing, he was writing, saying, ha ha, here I am.
Yeah, but you have to imagine that in 1888?
I think so, yeah.
The sudden arrival of the printed newspaper had exactly the same effect as the internet did when that arrived. Suddenly, all this information which you'd never see. You never saw photographs of mutilated bodies. You never saw drawings of mutilated bodies, and you certainly never had, you know, the supposed perpetrator of these crimes writing in, you know, saying, "I ate the kidney; it was delicious." So all that stuff, you know, it's been done a lot. You know, the whole Masonic thing. Was there an occult influence at work there? The whole thing.
Was it the Queen's doctor?
Yeah, that was Edward, Duke of Clarence, Queen Victoria's grandson.
Now, what was okay, guys? Fingers on buzzers. What was the film that starred Christopher Plummer, Sherlock Holmes? No. Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer as Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock, and
James Mason.
James Mason as Watson. Murder by Decree.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Again, that was another sort of interesting, you know, theory about
based on Stephen Knight's book. Really.
Yeah. But there was, you know, a couple of theories that he was American as well, that maybe he was H.H. Holmes, the guy who had that horror hotel in Chicago and had little shoots for bodies. Yeah. Or there's another one called Francis Tumblety.
Yeah, he was a big suspect.
Yeah, I think he fled.
Walter Sickert, the painter.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that one.
It's far-fetched, but, you know, desperate people go to far reaches, don't they? No one's ever suggested it might have been a woman.
Oh no, there've been Jackie the Ripper theories. Jill the Ripper. But it's interesting because from what Douglas is saying, this guy couldn't. He considers him a disorganized serial killer, not in the way that, say, Ted Bundy was very organized. He always made sure that he would kidnap these girls in a very plausible way. They'd come willingly to his car. He would, he'd there was very little chance of him ever getting caught. You're killing women on the street. Okay, it's late at night, but even so, it's kind of like attacking them in this blitzkrieg manner, strangling them, beating them up.
Ditch the yellow VW, mate. That bit of a giveaway, that one.
Yeah, well, that was when he moved on to the crimes he committed, not necessarily in the Seattle area, but when he went to Utah, was it, or something? Can't remember. But see, VWs are great because you can remove the passenger seat, which is what he did. And so he could just bundle the girls in. I can't believe I'm going on about serial killers.
But he did the thing which they nicked for Silence of the Lambs, where he had his arm in plaster.
Yes.
And saying, "Can you help me with this, please?" And they go, "Oh, poor pretty man. He's hot." And that's it, you see. Anyway, so there you go. Who's that?
Funny you mentioned these two different styles of killer, because I my mind went to think of different types of animals that kill. You have a spider versus maybe a tiger. There's different ways that things kill that are right for whatever that thing is. And that's just where my head went to, that it's for these people, they're getting whatever their reward emotionally and psychologically is. And you have someone who's a predator who's taking time and has this developed strategy and is enjoying fooling that victim, whereas a Jack the Ripper, I don't think is really concerned about fooling the victim. It's much more about the authority of the police.
That's if you believe the guy who wrote the letters is the same guy who did the crimes. Because remember how in the Yorkshire Ripper case, there was somebody who wrote letters to the police, and they thought, there were tape recordings and stuff like that, and he had a Geordie accent or something. And so they were all hailing around to the opposite side of the country where, Sutcliffe was living. And they totally went on the wrong trail. And because they believed this guy and I think they caught him years later and threw him in the Hoosgow, which is great because he really messed up the investigation. It's possible, but the thing is, remember the kidney, he sent a little bit of kidney. At that time, they couldn't type blood. They couldn't even tell whether the blood was human or not. At that time, when you think about forensics, there was no fingerprinting was well in the future. They didn't even take enough crime scene photographs. There were some photographs of the autopsies, but the actual crime scene, people.
No, they did. Mary Kelly.
Yeah, well, that's because she was one of the only one that was murdered inside.
Yes, but also
everybody else was found on the street, the sidewalk or in a courtyard or something, or backyard.
The roll film camera was developed at the same time, which enabled people to be a lot more mobile in terms of taking photographs on crime scene.
Yeah. I think also getting back to, the publicity angle is that, yes, photography was just coming to the fore, as we know, but I think it's more the case of the style of journalism, because newspapers have been around for centuries, or since Gutenberg invented the movable type and stuff. There have always been newspapers, but it's the kind of the organization into newspapers, the kind of style of journalism, and also the absolute scandal of, in this one of the wealthiest countries in the world at that time, and one of the wealthiest cities, that a place like the East End of London could exist with so much so many poverty-stricken people. And these women were basically earning enough money so they could buy a bed for the night. That's what they were out in the street trying to do. And a lot of them were drunkards, exactly.
Yeah.
And but if I was living between the streets and whatever, and all I could do was sell my body to get enough money to 4p to buy a bed for the night, I'd probably be drinking gin too. I mean, one of the girls, I think it was Mary Nichols, said, "Oh God, I've had money for a bed 3 times today. Now I've got to go out and do it again," because she'd just drink it away instead of just going to bed. But it was such a miserable existence they were living, and this is again caused a huge scandal because all the people who were living in Mayfair and Chelsea, and they were virtually didn't care or were unaware of the scandal of the poverty and the prostitution and stuff.
But also a lot of the aristocracy would go to the East End purely to sleep with hookers.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
bring little gifts home to their wives too.
Yeah. Here's an ear. Thank you, darling.
No, that's not what I meant. I was thinking that
diseases, yes.
Nasty diseases.
Well, exactly. That's the whole Edward Duke of Clarence thing, isn't it? Syphilis that was in those days, which was untreatable, and you just sort of rotted away from the inside out.
Is that what happened to him?
Well, I think he drives you mad, doesn't it, Syphilis? Or did.
Oh, no, I know. No, I'm just saying, is that how Edward Duke Clarence died?
Queen Victoria's grandson.
No, there was you guys, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a particularly ghastly TV drama. And I think it did have Michael Caine as Aberline.
It did have Michael
And
Caine.
it was like, oh, is that Edward Duke of Clarence? And like the exposition was really obvious. And it was like, horrible foul murder in Whitechapel. Little kids running through the street with newspapers. And it was just really, it was like the Dick Van Dyke school of, cockneys and stuff. And blimey, Mary Poppins, you expect him to pop up.
Good day, governor. Yeah.
No, a murder.
Yeah, and I seem to remember we watched it together, Tim.
Of course we did. Yes, and
over a pizza, and because we both were fascinated about these murders, and she just looked at each other and just went, "This is not the best movie we've ever seen."
No, it was a made-for-TV job, which is never a good thing. I think Murder by Decree is probably one of the best. From Hell is actually very good. But that's based on a graphic novel, so it has a different thing. But Johnny Depp is very good.
Johnny Depp, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although, to be honest, he hadn't quite perfected his English accent yet, because he hadn't studied Keith Richard as he did for his, wonderful performance as Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean. But I do find sometimes when American actors do English accents, it's really distracting. If they're Meryl Streep, it's flawless. If it's Keanu Reeves in Bram Stoker's Dracula...
Yo, Count. I seem to have offended you.
Yeah. And Winona Ryder wasn't particularly very good either. No. But I love that movie. I love the way the movie looks.
I feel the same way. I love that movie in spite of 2 actors that I really don't like in general. Anyways, doing a terrible job acting in that film.
I could do without Tom Waits.
I don't know why I like it so much. Tom Waits is fantastic.
I think Gary Oldman is just unbelievable.
He owns that film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Tony Hopkins is just, oh, come on, mate.
Yeah. It's one of the few movies.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? They just sort of wind him up and let him go, and that's it. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the few movies Annabelle and I really disagree on. I'm not a fan of that particular Dracula film.
Okay, then what is your favorite?
I prefer Nosferatu, I think, to any of the actual.
What, the original?
Yeah. I like the remake too.
You like the Klaus Kinski one?
Yeah, I like the Klaus Kinski one too, but the original one's the best. But yeah,
right.
I don't even really like the original Dracula all that much.
No, I didn't like that one. I mean, my first exposure was obviously Christopher Lee, who is pretty well, Barbie, obviously, thousands.
No, the horror of Dracula, as it was called in the States, was, I think, has got to be probably. I don't know. I really do love the Bram Stoker. Francis Ford Coppola directed it, didn't he? But to me, Gary Oldman is just fabulous. I think he really is wonderful in that film. But it's not only Christopher Lee, but it's Peter Cushing's Van Helsing, and he said, having looked into it recently, because I'm sort of slightly obsessed with him, is that basically he said, listen, I'm not going to be this doddering Dutch guy who's sputtering around like in the book. I want him to be a superhero, like a hero. He's the hero of this, and I'm going to be as athletic as you'll allow me to be. And I mean, my favorite story about that particular film is when he's at the end and he goes, okay, Peter, can you just stick, the crossed candlesticks in, just do another cross in the face. And he went, God, that's so dull. Why don't I just run across this table, leap up and rip the curtains down and let the sun do the work?
Yeah.
And they went, okay, Peter. And it's going to be one of the most exciting end sequences. The music is fantastic as well. And he's chasing Dracula through the castle and then nearly gets strangled. And then he, leaps on the table and does the thing with the curtain. And I just still get, a frisson of joy that, even though I'm sad Dracula gets killed. But
does he though?
Yes, of course he gets his ashes dripped on with blood in the next one and comes back. But, what a performance. I just think that, everybody goes on about Dracula's, but, who's your best Van Helsing? And to me, it will always be Peter Cushing.
Mm.
Did anyone see the film Van Helsing with...
No.
The action film?
Oh, God, what's his name?
The Australian actor.
Hugh
Jackman.
Yeah,
Hugh
Jackman.
Wolverine. Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
I thought it was really lame crap myself, but hey,
terrible.
That's me.
Not as bad as Abraham Lincoln Vampire.
No. Sorry, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
I loved that film because it does what it says on the tin.
Oh, really? I thought it was so awful.
Oh, I totally enjoyed it. I thought it was fab.
That's a special movie because that was the first time Annabelle and I ever met each other. Was we went to go see that movie? Yeah. So we have to like it.
Yes.
We do wonder if we would really like it now if we'd watch it again.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I watched it too
friends
late.
online. It's a very different thing to meet in person and wonder, are we actually going to like each other at all?
Right.
So it was a day of being really nice. And part of that being nice was enjoying that movie.
Totally different
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it since then. Maybe I'd still like it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just think it was such again, it's, this is one of the things that I wonder about is that should I just be writing graphic novels, because it was a graphic novel. And then it was turned, History of Violence, I didn't realize, but it was a graphic novel before it became, the brilliant Cronenberg film. Mm-hmm. But it's, I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe I found the whole idea so amusing. Yeah. It's just kind of different. It's not your sort of run-of-the-mill, story of vampires. It's got something different, like Zulu zombies. It's got something else injected into it. The President of the United States.
Have you ever
seen... it's audacious. I'll give it that. Maybe it's because I'm English. I just didn't get on it.
Have you ever seen FDR, American Badass?
That's amazing. It is so funny. It has Barry Bostwick, who plays Brad from Rocky Horror.
Oh my God, is he still alive?
Oh, no, sorry. I'm sorry. There is really a film?
Yes.
I thought you were joking.
No, it's an amazing
movie. A movie. He plays Roosevelt. It is incredible. And I don't know if you both have Netflix. It is...
I did. I don't.
The Axis of Evil.
I'm going to look for it.
All the Nazis are werewolves.
Does he have like little rockets coming out of his wheelchair?
That's actually possible that happens.
Oh dear.
Cowboys
and Aliens.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the
Axis. Oh no! See, I love Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
I just thought that was
fun.
That was a great film.
See, there's no explanation for it. It's just
is that
great.
the Harrison Ford movie? No, it's a different one. He's in something like that.
It's Harrison Ford.
No, it's Daniel Craig, and Harrison Ford pops up halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's quite an extraordinary film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fabulous. There's not that many films. You just go, well, like I say, it's this again. It's an English expression. It does what it says on the tin.
Yeah,
But it's just like, you want something with cowboys and aliens. It's like Snakes on a Plane. What's it about?
Exactly.
Snakes on a plane.
I made the mistake of watching this sort of Brit movie called Strippers versus Werewolves. And it's got all these geezers, right? Who've ended up in EastEnders and all that. Yeah, fucking what? Strippers, yeah. And that does exactly what it says on the tin,
Oh, because I actually met the director. I met the director at, I can't remember if it was Grimfest. It must have been Grimfest, which is the Manchester horror film festival. And he was a lovely guy.
Yeah,
he was slightly embarrassed about the film but he's now, I think even now as we speak, I hope so, he's filming his big budget, film in South Africa, actually.
Right.
Hey, maybe he's making good contacts. I should get in touch with him.
You should. The other good one is Cockneys versus Zombies. That's actually very funny.
I just saw something about that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because it's actually filmed in London. It's got some proper geezers in it. And it's all the Cockneys are in this old people's home. So they're all, I don't know, what shall I use, the wheelchair or the crutches? It's silly, but everyone in it is having a great time.
Talking about Cockneys, I'm sorry, I'm going to change the subject completely.
Please do.
Into something completely, just harking back to Atlantic City on the way back to the UK.
Not the Sooty Show, is it?
No, I was, I taught Sooty how to be a robot. I caught a couple episodes of Boardwalk Empire.
One of my favorite shows.
And I just started watching it. I've watched all 4 seasons now. It's quite a depressing but brilliant TV series. And there was an actor who played Al Capone, and I don't remember his name. But I just thought, this guy is brilliant. And I thought, who is he? So I looked him up on IMDb, and he was in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He's well, I'll tell you.
Nick Moran.
But I couldn't believe that this English geezer was playing the most Italian American of gangsters. Yeah. But again, he is. No, hold on. I'll tell you in a minute.
While she's looking up, I do want to mention. Actually, in the 6th grade, we had to read a biography and then dress up as that person. And the person I picked actually was Al Capone.
Oh wow! Yeah. Stephen Graham.
He's not one
is his name.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Is that the one with the pigs?
With the what?
Where the guy talks about feeding people to pigs.
No, that's Snatch.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's all right. Same director. Most of the same cast.
Both are good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He was
same actor.
Yeah. No. I'm telling a horrible lie.
Yep.
He was not in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. He was in Snatch.
Oh well, Annabelle, you were correct.
That guy.
Yeah.
But he's still not one of the leads.
He played Tommy in Snatch.
Yeah.
Was he one of the Liverpudlians leads?
I don't know. Do I?
Have you seen Snatch Wars?
No.
It's a YouTube clip of all the Darth Vader bits from Star Wars with the guy from Snatch who does all the Cockney stuff. You're not much good to me, dead. Oh, you're Turkish. Put the fucking kettle on. And it's very funny. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm ready to watch that feature. Be hilarious.
Coming up is the final season of Boardwalk Empire. I'm pretty sad to see it go. It's one of my
I'm just I don't know how long it's going to take to get over to this side of the Atlantic. But I was. It's one of those things. This is. no spoilers alert here, but I sobbed when certain characters died.
Yeah.
I sobbed.
There's one really big surprise at the end of one of the seasons when one of the main characters dies.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was season 2, that one, and then just the end of season 4 just had me sobbing. But also there was,
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
And when Eddie commits suicide, I was inconsolable.
Yeah, and it was a really nice episode though. It was really done well. But yeah, that was my favorite character. It's really.
Oh yeah, but Richard Harrow, I loved him. I thought he was just so, and he's English. I didn't realize the actor is English. There's a lot of English actors in this TV series. Astonishing. But he was really, really, really good. He was also in American Hustle as well. I don't know if it was a big part, but I thought, what a character. My God, that's the kind of character you give half your face for.
Did you end up watching all of True Detective? Because I know when I talked to you, when you come back, I think you didn't see the last 2 episodes or something.
Yeah, because I was flying back from Texas, and they had 6 episodes, and I went, God, that ended weirdly. And then I found out there were 8. Yeah, I managed to watch it. I think it's brilliant. Matthew McConaughey is great. And even though I have problems with Woody Harrelson, he's such a brilliant actor. And that was a, absolutely brilliant series as well.
That's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah. But also Breaking Bad, which, again, just come available on Netflix in the UK, and I don't think we just watched the 5 series just back to back, 2 or 3 episodes a night, because it was just so.
I really think Breaking Bad's the best series ever from beginning to end for one big long story arc.
The thing about Breaking Bad, compared to, say, Boardwalk Empire, which it has an unbelievable gritty realism to it, and they actually built the set in Brooklyn by the city, so you have that real feeling that it is, Atlantic City in the 1920s. But what a violent and nasty time! But the thing about Breaking Bad, which was also very violent and nasty, is the moments when you would laugh out loud, just with the absurd humor of some of it.
Yeah.
But I think, somebody was saying that, I didn't get on with it. It was just so grim. But you really have to hang on those first few episodes where poor old Walter White finds out he has cancer, and he's just not disrespected by his students, and he's having trouble at home, and, his life is such shite. And, you just think, oh God, I don't know if I can hang on with this. It's really depressing. And then, something turns, and, he decides to become a meth developer, which again, most British people would go, well, why would you do that? You just go and get cured in the hospital and stuff like that. But in America, it makes so many comments.
Yeah, I remember someone actually brought that, which I never thought about it before, but they said that's if you're from another country, you do look at it differently, because it's, you can go and get treated, and here.
Yeah. In Canada, in Breaking Bad would have, and the UK, it would have lasted 1 episode. Walter White discovers he has lung cancer. He goes and they, we can cure you. Come into hospital. But in America, it's a very different thing. But I think that it is still one of the most audacious pieces of TV ever written.
I think it's one of the best character arcs, from the Walter White being like a sympathetic guy to really becoming a villain, and how it just over seasons he progresses, and it's great.
I know, but you still love him.
Oh yeah, I still but he really does become a villain by the end of the show.
But see, I've always been attracted to the dark side.
I like that too. But I didn't want to mention quick was about True Detective was the Yellow King, the villain in True Detective. He's also in Boardwalk Empire. And a totally different character, obviously.
Really?
The actor, yeah.
Oh, was he? Oh, I didn't. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the Yellow King was in Boardwalk Empire.
No.
I was trying to figure that one out.
Right.
Well, I'll have to look back. Because you don't only see him in the back. Oh, actually, these. I'm just thinking about poor Timmy.
Yes, I
haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hey,
Sorry, Tim.
That's okay.
You got to catch up, Tim.
Yeah, I saw the first 2 episodes of Breaking Bad. Yeah, it's grim, but
No, but then it picks up.
yeah, I know.
It really does, But a few people I know have said that they stopped watching, and like you need to hang in there to like the 4th episode, and then things really turn, and the absurdity of it all and stuff, the surreality of it. But
well, I can always come back to it, can't I?
Exactly.
And the good thing about True Detective, you watch that, it's just 8 episodes, and it's one story. The next season will be a totally different cast and a different story, so you don't have to keep following it.
I rewatched a movie called Quills the other night.
That's a great movie.
Which is about the Marquis de Sade, and has my all-time sexiest woman in it, Kate Winslet. But the guy who plays the sort of architect who comes in to do Michael Caine's house, because he's married this 16-year-old girl who he elopes with, is the guy who played the vampire in True Blood. I thought, he looks so familiar. He's an English guy.
Oh, the main guy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, he is English. Yeah. I've only seen the first season of True Blood. I have the second season. I've never watched it. I don't know why. I actually watched the first season of True Blood. I watched it once and then took a break of 2 weeks, and then I watched it again because I thought it was so wonderful. Yeah. Why the hell I haven't continued on with it, I don't know. But
second season was good.
I never watched it, but when I heard about it from people, it sounded very soap opera-y. With
True Blood.
That was my impression that I'd gotten.
Really?
So, but I trust your opinion, so I'm curious. I should really watch some of it and just see. I was just turned off from it.
Again, no, it is absolutely. I didn't see the soap opera at all. I mean, it has moments of quite extraordinary surreality to it.
They just overdid it. Season 6. Oh, come on. I like things that last 1 or 2 seasons, and then that's it. 40 Towers, for example. Yeah. Ooh,
well, I'm sorry. I've watched all 22 seasons of Law and Order, and I was gutted when it ended. But I think
like a comfort food sort of show, though.
Yeah, that's different because every episode is a different story.
But yes, exactly. But they have sort of characters that maintain through. But the thing about Law and Order that's interesting is that they often take their inspiration from real cases too. Mm-hmm. But no, I know what you mean. I mean, sometimes it's say House of Cards in the UK version, it ran to 3 seasons and then it ended, and it was brilliant. And now I don't know what they're planning to do with the Kevin Spacey version, but again, that is just stunning, stunning stuff. They've kind of taken it to a next level, I think, that version. But, I found both, the British version and the American version absolutely wonderful in their own specific ways. But it's a completely different political system. But it's just absolutely, and Kev on his best form, I think. Boy, so nice to see him back on screen too, because he hasn't been doing a lot of, movies recently, or if he has done, there's not been ones I've wanted to see, unfortunately.
I think he's probably been a bit busy.
Yeah, being the artistic director of the Old Vic. But I'll write a part for you, Kevin, my Zulu Zombies, if you want. It's time you did a horror movie.
he could black up.
Well, yeah, it's been a while. He was in 7. That was wonderful. I like that.
Oh,
was
my
the best thing.
God. I tell you, that film, I watched that film. I went and had a couple margaritas with my cousin afterwards. And I thought, that's it with me and serial killers, man. I've seen, I'm just not interested anymore. It actually, and I'll never forget talking to this friend of mine, that dominatrix friend of mine that I mentioned to you, who gave me the idea for writing the Venus Complex. And I told her, I said, I'm not interested in serial killers anymore. And she was gutted because it was her sort of fantasy about sleeping with one. But, I said, oh, God, because that film so disturbed me. There was a kind of, it was real. I keep using the word surreal, but it was, but there was something so real about it and surreal. But it was a stunning film, and he was so brilliant. in it.
Yeah,
there's nothing likable about the guy. Whereas a lot of, you were mentioning that there's a charisma to a lot of these other personalities that you see playing these parts. There's almost like a romanticism. There's none of that with that character.
No,
none of it. It's just
and yet, you know what? I loved him when he's in the back of the police car and he goes, "What are you talking about? There's a deadly sin on every street corner of this stinking town. Innocent victims? Or are you talking about the disease-ridden whore, or the woman who had so little soul that she'd rather cut off her face than live in this way, to take drugs, or are you guys really crying for the lawyer? Give me a break." Innocent, and it's just such a what a speech, It's
also the look of the film, the notebooks, things like that. That you might see for 10 seconds on the screen. I've seen the making of it, and they actually created all of these notebooks, hundreds and hundreds, and filled them with writing and diagrams and bits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's funny because that as well was an inspiration for my book, because I thought if what's in those journals, and Morgan Freeman reads a couple of lines from them, and I just think that would I want to write one of those, and that's sort of again part of it. But after about a year, I came back to being interested in serial killers again. But it was sort of like this trauma of, oh my God, what a film,
I remember seeing, when I saw his room, I thought it looks just like my bedroom.
Oh dear.
Do you have a neon cross over your little single bed?
Well, I don't have the cross, but I do have all the writings. And no, I don't.
I think Brad Pitt saying the Marquis de Sade is one of my favourite lines. Bless him. He's brilliant in that as well.
Yes, he is.
Oh, I know. What a wonderful actor. I really like Brad Pitt. It's funny because
I love him in everything. Fight Club, 12 Monkeys, one of my favourite movies.
One of mine as well.
Burn After Reading. Fight Club. I mean, he's great. I loved him.
Yeah, I think sometimes
really
he's overlooked.
What do you guys think about maybe Gilliam making this Man of La Mancha film?
Well, he's been talking about that for decades, hasn't he?
But he says now that he actually has the funding.
Going to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they started, didn't they? I think I didn't like Baron Munchausen very much.
I'm a big fan of Munchausen.
Really?
I liked it. Yeah.
It looks great, but what's the other one that had Heath Ledger in it? And then he pegged it, and they had to get 3 other actors to play the same character.
What is it? Something Parnassus?
Oh, the
Parnassus, isn't it, Doctor?
Yeah.
Doctor, the Imaginarium.
Yeah,
the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
I haven't watched it.
It's very weird.
I haven't watched that. I haven't watched that either. I actually think one of his most extraordinary films, and it kind of came up recently because
The Fisher King.
He was talking about working with Robin Williams and how Robin Williams would just want to do take after take, and he'd go, Robin, I think we got it. And he'd be sitting there almost trembling with angst because he wanted to get it right. And that since then, I mean, maybe not since then, but, Robin Williams has always been unbelievably supportive of homeless charities and stuff. And I think he probably went and lived on the streets for a couple of weeks because his performances, when I saw that film, I thought both
Jeff Bridges
and Robin Williams should be nominated for Best Actor and get the Oscar, because I thought it was such an extraordinary film. And it is very Gilliam in that it has these sort of fast Gilliam? Yeah, Terry Gilliam. Mm-hmm. Yeah, these sort of surrealistic moments.
Gilliam,
I think that's my word.
12 Monkeys.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I love 12 Monkeys.
Yes, but it's one of my favourite themes is the lunatics and time travel.
Yeah.
And I think Bruce Willis in that is brilliant as well. Mm-hmm. He does just the right amount of Bruce to not overdo it. Brad is fantastic, and visually, I think Terry Gilliam is a genius. Yeah. I mean, all the Python stuff, obviously, but Munchausen looked great, but I just wasn't involved in the story of it.
And of course, there's Brazil.
Oh God!
We went to see Brazil recently on the big screen, which was very cool. They played it here.
That end
I
scene.
think that I think the trouble with Terry, he actually was. I know this is funny. I put some picture of myself in the 80s, whatever, up on Facebook. I can't remember what I did, and he liked it on Facebook, and I nearly had a heart attack. Terry Gilliam likes my photograph.
Yeah.
Terry Gilliam's on Facebook.
Yeah, he's there, absolutely, and he's very, he's posting all these photographs from, because they're doing, the whole Monty Python live show and stuff. But I think
okay. Let's talk about Kate Bush.
No. But I let me finish. What was I going to say?
Was Terry Gilliam liked your photo on Facebook?
Trouble with Terry.
Mm-hmm. No, is that he actually came out and said quite boldly how the studio had screwed up Brazil. Mm-hmm. And they panicked, and they didn't do any promotion for that film. And he came out and said, I love this film. I think it's, wonderful. And I totally agree with them. But, that Hollywood doesn't forgive people who say things like that, unfortunately.
But it's also, it's too dark for Hollywood.
Yeah.
Even though
it's tragic, Robert too, because it's a work of genius. His stuff is geniusy, and so it's difficult for him to get funding. Is it going to have Johnny Depp in it?
Have you ever watched the cut of the movie that's cut by the studio?
No,
it's a totally different movie. It's called the Love Conquers All cut, and it's got like a happy ending, and it's horrible.
No.
It's horrible.
Oh dear!
But what is
dramatically different? It's just the very ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You see, I've really kind of gone off happy endings. I mean, this story I've been struggling with about witches, I was desperately trying to resolve it all, and good will surmount evil. And then it's when I'm in a friend's cottage in the country at the moment, and I was here last weekend, and I just thought, you know what, fuck it. Let's not have a happy ending. Let's just unleash the beast. Mm-hmm. And off she goes. Mm-hmm. And boy, it's ugly. But it was quite a relief. It's like, oh yes, I don't have to say, oh, and then they managed to, subdue her and do this and do that. No.
Well, it's interesting because Clive Barker, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with him, but when you think about it, Clive Barker has said in horror, there are no happy endings. And I think, when you think about really, okay, in Dracula gets killed by, Van Helsing, but for him, it's not a happy ending.
Yeah.
For Drac, it's not.
That's one way of looking at it. Yeah.
No, it's funny. I think it's probably in horror. But I think there was one film that Tim, you and I watched called Drag Me to Hell. And that poor gal, she gets cursed by the gypsy and stuff. And
that's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie, but she does everything right, and then she still gets dragged to hell. That really pissed me off. And I thought, I just feel like I've wasted 90 minutes of my life. Poor girl goes through all that, and she does everything right.
Well, she didn't quite do it right because she flipped the button with the key with the coin.
I can't remember the movie at all.
Oh, really? See, that passed me by. You see, and she wasn't supposed to do that, huh?
Yeah, she's supposed to. I forget how exactly it is, but she's supposed to either, I think, give the button back to the woman, and she accidentally gives her the coin that her boyfriend gave her. And
so I'm going to remember the story for Tim. It's about an old woman goes into I think a bank, and she owes money on her property. She's a stereotypical gypsy. She's got a weird eye and a voice, and she's all haggard looking. And this woman who's talking with her, a young woman in the company, she wants to move up. She wants to help this woman, then goes into her boss and says, look, she has these circumstances. The boss says, well, we'll see if you're material for the company. Essentially, you will tell her, too bad, we're taking your house. Or you can do what you want to do, but you're not going to grow with the company. And so she makes the choice to turn down this poor old lady. The old woman proceeds to kind of lose it and curses this girl.
Okay.
And it goes from there where the old woman ends up haunting this poor woman.
Great.
And in the end, she gets dragged to hell.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually,
Literally.
But Tim, we watched it. Remember at Christmas?
No, you're kidding.
Christmas.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that at Christmas is that
after 8 margaritas, I don't remember anything.
Yeah, it's anti-Christmas. We watched horror films.
Curses. I rewatched the movie of Thinner. You seen that?
Yeah.
I thought it was actually really good because, having read the story a few times, I thought, how would they film this?
Yeah.
It's like Captain America, the guy at the beginning is sort of small and thin and weedy, and suddenly he's Captain America. I thought, how do they do that? Oh, okay. But Thinner was really good, but it's that whole thing about the gypsy curse, and that was, in relation to this idea for the witchy story. I thought, could I use that sort of thing, because we don't know, do we, these ancient traditions handed on from hand to mouth, and how strong family is, that if you fuck with one member of the family, then you've got that on your back. I just thought it was very clever. It's a great story. And the guy who plays the lead, I don't know what his name is. He's not a big name, but he does it very well, But it's just that terrifying thing at the end.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Well, you've read the story, right?
Years and years and years ago.
Yeah, it's a Bachman book.
Richard Bachman at the time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's got Joe Mantegna in it.
Yes, he's sort of suitably, he's a mafia boy, really.
Yeah.
House of Games, remember that one?
It's Robert John Burke.
Okay. Well, he's got a very good fat suit on for the beginning.
Yeah, I remember originally they wanted John Candy to play that and actually lose weight for the movie, but it never happened.
That's not going to happen.
No, it didn't happen, but that's what they had talked about originally.
Okay.
But back to the idea of witches, it is really interesting to think of gypsies being witches, and you brought up the histories. And what actually does define what it means to be a witch? What point do you consider something as not a witch? Is there a witch in every culture? Are all religious systems capable of having their own witches?
Well, certainly it depending on how you look at the actual definition. I mean, in voodoo, where they cast spells and they do things like that. Witch doctors are, in sort of Western Africa, they're mostly men. But in my story, Zulu Zombies, the guy who's being, haunted by the zombie spirits of the Zulus go to a Sangoma, and that's what you call a female witch doctor in South Africa. Or the South African colony, or whatever it was called back then. So, that's a very different culture. It's not a Christian culture. It's a completely different religious system. But they also have people who cast spells who are considered powerful individuals.
Yeah, I mean the sort of definition of a witch is basically an enchantress. So they've traditionally been female, or a female sorcerer or magician,
But not in Africa. It's a lot of times it's men.
It's very much a traditional English thing. It goes back to Wicca and the pre-Christian Druid form of religion, which involves Stonehenge and all this sort of stuff. So, it only takes one person to end up in Africa spreading a story about this thing that there's always been the nutty mad woman on the edge of town, and I think things it's like Chinese whispers. They become exaggerated, I mean, the woman I've written my story about was originally, allegedly, a story told to naughty children to make them behave.
What is that sound?
That is Bellamy, the cat.
I thought it was Rudolph, the reindeer.
No, he's too early. Bugger off. Yes, hag, beldame, witch, crone, an ugly, evil-looking old woman. So you could see that if somebody was sort of socially shunned because she was old and ugly, they would start saying, "Oh, she's a bit weird. She must be a witch or something." Mm-hmm. Did she float? No. What was that? Is that a Monty Python thing, isn't it? Is it...
Jabberwocky, isn't it?
Is it Jabberwocky, where they're sort of... Was she made of wood?
That's Monty Python.
Oh, no, it's a Holy Grail.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Holy Grail. Holy Grail. Yeah. But, of course, if you look at the Da Vinci Code,
oh, God.
a lot of women were burned at the stake because I love that bit because they were considered independent women. They may have lived by themselves. They were interested in herbalism and the power of plants and healing and stuff like that. A lot of the women that were accused of witchcraft during that time were actually, people who... the townspeople would come to if they had some ailment and they go, "Oh, you just need a mustard poultice for that," or we'll have some dandelion tea or something, chamomile tea.
Medical systems in America are very bad. Actually, one of the places I really like to go to, Salem. That's just the whole entire town is loaded. It's museums and there's graveyards and.
Yeah, but it's like a witch theme park.
Incredible how evil people can be. Well, it's all very historical, so it's not. They have one statue of the character from Bewitched. That's cute. But
Samantha?
It is truly yes.
Does it wiggle its nose?
Like little horror things, but a lot of it is truly historical. And on the side of, like you were saying, that these were just people that were different. Maybe they came from another. Tituba was a black woman that's in, very famous here story about this process of this woman being accused of witchcraft by a bunch of teenage girls.
Oh, great.
And how that got totally out of control. Adults start picking up on that, and you can just use that as a weapon.
But you see, those young girls discovered the power they could wield by becoming. It was a hysteria. It was a group thing. And Robert Ressler, in his book, which does these patterns and motives of violent crime, there's a particular group dynamic. You see it often. It comes up in places like, football hooliganism. A crowd of guys goes to see a football game. It never happens in America, but in the UK, it was a specific type of thing. They even started calling each other the firm and getting groups together, and they were stronger as a group, and they would go out and commit crimes and stuff. In America, again, it happens in riots or groups of people just turn on the weaker one.
It's just, I don't think, quite as big a phenomenon. In the South, from what I understand, the sports there is very, it's totally different from how it is up here. It's very serious and very almost.
They've rioted when the Bulls were really
where
big.
The whole town is focused in on that team, and there's this sort of royalty about it, and that those people can get away with doing really horrible things. Actually, even in school systems, the sports kids are a lot of times the people that are bullies and do have that frat mentality they use.
Oh yeah, but if you add in a sort of occult thing. I actually met a white witch in the early 70s, apparently. I didn't know it at the time. But she ended up being a children's TV presenter, which is sort of strange, isn't it? Yeah. But her route into that was Old English folk song. And she used to sing all these old ballads that were passed on from family to family over campfires and stuff about the old magic in England. And I was going to say it turned her to the dark side, but it didn't, because she was like a white witch, But you could say they're amongst us wherever, especially out here in the country. It's like, who knows what goes on behind those curtains,
Last week, actually, I would say last week, Annabelle and I used a Ouija board in Salem. And
how was that?
Someone warned us to use protection when we were using the Ouija board. But...
Anybody appear?
No.
No, not that.
It actually didn't even move at all.
Two people appeared on the horizon wanting to jog, so we decided to stop.
Yeah.
That's probably more frightening.
We did use it.
He stopped when they saw us as well. They turned away.
We did use it once before, and I don't believe in any of that stuff at all. And it was really interesting because it did seem like it would start moving, and we were asking questions, and it was really mundane stuff, which I would think if you're going to make it up, you'd say, oh, this is some crazy killer and all this stuff, but it's less mundane, like, person who talked about, like, having kids, and it wasn't, it was interesting.
They love their wife.
Yeah.
Pretty poor.
How dull.
But it was interesting.
So were you doing this outside?
Yeah, that was in a...
This was quite a long time. This was after the Atlantic City Convention in December.
Yeah. And it was in a... Yeah, it was in a cemetery.
I was driving back very, very late. It was just after a nor'easter here. I don't know if you're familiar with the term. It's a giant snowstorm that crushes states worth of land. And so it was tons of snow, freezing, below freezing.
It was 7 degrees.
And whatever reason, usually Neil takes a bus, but we missed the bus, so I was driving him home, and why don't we do this? So we went to his very small town, a little teeny cemetery, and the moon was full, and there was snow, so everything was very bright. It was a good way to introduce Neil to the Ouija board experience. Yeah. Whether or not it's true, it was a good setup.
And this last time, though, we were actually excited about it. It was different, and then we just sat there, and it just didn't move at all. It was we're like, okay, I guess that's the end of this, and packed it up.
Yeah, well, it's all about the power of the mind, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a friend who was a firm believer in that, and we did it once, and the glass shot off the table and smashed, and his dog downstairs started howling. I just thought, whoa, okay. It didn't make me a believer, but it was kind of a bit scary.
That's how this nothing like that happened, and I'm not necessarily saying I believe it all, but it was something did happen. It was interesting.
Yeah, but that's what I mean about the power of the mind. We don't know half of the power of the mind.
Mm-hmm. That's what we were kind of talking about before.
Yeah.
That if you really believe in the idea of it, then we can make it happen just because we've convinced itself it can happen. So it's really us.
Yes. Yeah, it's always just you. What the mind can conceive, the body can achieve. Hey.
Hey.
You killed that one.
Do you guys have that? The light is a feather, stiff as a board?
No.
Supposedly, I guess if you have four people can stand at the edge of a person and you use your fingertips and lift someone up saying light as a feather, stiff as a board. This is like a thing you do when you're 10.
Yeah. Or you're very stoned. Yeah.
So I know we want to thank you both very much for coming on the show, and we definitely want people to be able to follow this and get more information and see the changes. I think we can trust that both of you can keep us updated on top of the various other ways of finding out about bad medicine. So bad medicine, we can just look up on Facebook. And how will people find you and more about this film?
Will they find us? Or yes, they will. I make damn sure of it.
Well, I'm on Facebook. It's Barbie.Wilde. I think it's just I'm there may be Barbie Wildes, but I was probably, if you just go to Barbie Wilde, that's probably the first person who comes up is me. And I also have Barbie Wilde, author, actress. And I guess it's the same with Tim. Are you Tim Dry? Are you Tim Dry?
I'm Tim.Dry. I'm Tim Dry, author, and various other things.
Are you the only Tim Dry? Are you Tim Dry 01 or something? Or?
I think I'm Tim.Dry, yes, because I got in there early with my Facebook name.
Ah, excellent.
Yes. Yes, we're always around. We're shamelessly dangling the plug.
The plug of shame.
it will descend and wipe you all out.
Yes. So,
it's always great talking to both of you.
Sorry?
It's always great talking to both of you.
It's always fabulous. And Annabelle, we always have so much fun talking about serial killers, don't we? So
yes, we do.
Good.
To do a show about talking. We'll have to do that sometime. We'll have a serial killer month, and we'll discuss.
Oh, please let me be part of it.
that would be great.
I really hope I can get to the States to do a show where we can meet up again.
Yes.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Because I've met Mr. Jones in Indy, but I haven't met you, darling, have I?
No.
No. Well, yeah, so would I.
Yeah.
Well,
that was actually my very first convention I was ever at. I met Tim Dry. Good
oh, wow, that's ruined your life, mate. No, I just remember thinking, because you said on day one, would you like to do an interview? I'm thinking, yes. When is it? When? Where's he gone? Eventually.
Well, it's always a delight talking. It's always a delight talking to you guys. Mm-hmm. And of course, the fabulous delight talking with Mr. Dry.
Oh,
so it's been a carousel of horror fun.
Exactly. You couldn't say it any better than that.
Yes, it's a coffin on wheels of laughter.
Okay, you guys. Well, listen, have a good day and have a good evening, Mr. Dry. And
Thank you. I'll speak to you tomorrow, probably, Mrs. Wilde.
Mrs. Wilde. Yes, okay.
Or Saturday.
Or Saturday, yes.
Yeah.
And thanks again for having us on your fabulous show, guys.
Yes, it's been a real pleasure.
We love hearing about what's going on with you guys, whatever it is you're doing. You're great, wonderful people, very talented. We'll definitely be keeping up with you.
Oh,
and
bless. Thank you.
Bad medicine.
Okay, great.
We'll also let you know when the next two books are out.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, which is October and December. So we'll do the dangle the plug of shame again.
That sounds so rude, doesn't it?
I know. No idea what shape it is.
Annabelle, I want you to do an artistic rendition of the plug of shame.
I was just going to say the same exact thing, yes.
I will definitely be doing that. So I've got Snoopy, Plug of Shame, and the Barbie portrait.
Yay! Oh, it's just going to be a plethora of fabulous art. Fantastic.
Plethora, eh?
Plethora of pinatas. Okay, guys, figure out where that film came from. Okay, then, guys, take care, and thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Love.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Have you gone yet?
Hi, this is Jill 6, and you're listening to withoutyourhead.com.